Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for the India Food Nutrition Summit 2021. A wonderful panel session has just been concluded on the topic Technology Transforming the Food and Dairy Industry, and a wonderfully moderated panel session by Dr. Bhaskar Setupati. Now, moving on to our last panel session of the day, an exclusive CXO panel session on Leadership and Dairy, Next Generation Dairy Industry. Before I proceed, I just wanted to inform that we are getting a great response from the industry, and currently we have 1,500 participants watching us live. Now, in this particular panel session, the key pointers that will be discussed will be on the changing face of the dairy industry, delivering the next generation automation that is scalable and easy, modernizing to smart factories, the CEO view on current challenges and opportunities, and many more. And to discuss on this panel session, I would like to introduce in the order of sequence Mr. Amit Vyas, Managing Director from Amul Dairy. Joining Mr. Vyas, I would like to introduce Mr. Sangram Chaudhary, Managing Director from Banas Dairy. Next, we have Dr. Nanta Gopal, Managing Director from AVIN, Tamil Nadu Milk Federation. Joining Dr. Gopal, we have Mr. Mike Jameson, Global Segment President, Consumer Packaged Goods from Schneider Electric. Now, I would like to introduce the moderator for this panel session, Mr. Kaustubh Joshi, Director, Consumer Packaged Goods Segment from Schneider Electric. Mr. Joshi, since you being the panel moderator, I request you to take the session ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. And good afternoon, everyone. As you can see that this is an exclusive session towards talking about the next generation of industry in dairy. I wouldn't call it as a conversation, but it is more of an innovation talk that we are trying to establish here. You see a power pack panel. The panel doesn't need any introduction, which is contributing to the largest milk producer unions in India. And the topics that we'll be talking about today are largely toward improving the traceability, transparency into the manufacturing industry and focusing on dairy. We'll also talk about the fundamental requirement of automation to improve the efficiency. We'll also talk about a very specific topic on digitization, because that's the mantra of need of an hour these days. And to talk about it, you have already heard the overall panel. But just to give you a brief about this particular topic and the actions that we are going to talk about is if all the panelists can go on mute, please, for some time. So, while we talk about this particular panel, the composition is going to talk about the industries of future must deliver the next generation of sustainability and resilience. There is a pressing need of CPG industries to evolve and meet the evolving vision for the future. As we all can know that the dairy industry touches almost everyone every day. And India, considering the largest producer of milk in the world, and moving towards a very large consumer milk and milk products. With an increase in the population and spending power, the demand of milk and other value-added dairy products is increasing in coming years, and that includes the mainstream fresh milk dairy product as well as the fermentation products as well. The growth of industry requires overcoming a lot of challenges, whether it is from the supply chain standpoint or whether it is talking about the complexities, the lack of intelligence in terms of automation, going digitization, the product quality, real-time traceabilities, and so on and so forth. But what matters here is that what is the consumer demand? What is the consumer primarily looking at? What is a deep dive that we need to do in the dairy industry when consumer demands are going up and up? People are more interested to understand where the product is being manufactured, from where it is, whether it's a safe product to understand, and going beyond from there. These are the challenges which are perceived as an opportunity from both the sides. From the end customer standpoint, a solution comes into picture. For dairy to increase the resiliency and sustainability, we must have a right level of plans to be incorporated. That plan needs to be extremely flexible, agile. It needs to be also empowered with the digital technology, which will not only look at the manufacturing as a setup, but it will also cover the entire end-to-end supply chain and also in turn help the consumers. This webinar specifically, or this activity particularly that we are conducting here, will act as a platform where everyone will share the ideas. We are not going to talk about very specific topics here. Obviously, we have a certain set of topics to cover, but we'll be generally talking about an idea that for the next level of dairy industry, what all important factors that we need to incorporate. This is also to help most of our crowd to look at it that way, that it is not only applicable for a large scale dairy industry, but these are certain solutions which can be taken to a very smaller level of dairy industry. So the SME crowd as well, not only from the cooperative standpoint, but also from the private dairy industry. So having this quick brief about what this overall platform is going to be and introducing each one of them, I'm very keen to get the first level of views from Minister you that, what are the emerging norms and, practices for improving sustainability in dairy industry? What is your opinion from a central government organization? What do you think that where we need to take this particular sustainability in the dairy industry?
Yeah, thank you. I think very rightly said, improving sustainability is the next thing for the dairy industry, and it has two components. One is the economic sustainability. Of course, we are all talking about it, but I think most important it is also the environmental sustainability, and both are very closely related. So I just give few words on what we are doing. First thing is the genetic improvement of our dairy cattle. So this is the most important thing, whether it is in vitro fertilization technology or the embryo transfer technology. So these are the means, or the genomic selection of the breed itself. So all this will lead to achieve higher milk production with fewer number of animals. So I think this is very important, and it will contribute to economic sustainability of dairy farmers as well as the environmental sustainability as a whole. So this is one area where I think the government is focusing on. The second thing is, in terms of the animal nutrition, I think we have seen in our country, though we are the largest milk producer in the world, we are also the largest, country having the largest animal population. So how do we reduce the number of animals? So one is the breeding technique and keep our animal production same, milk production same. The other thing is the nutrition aspect. So we have started working on a concept called total mix ration. These are the pellets which are used for feeding the cattle, and it is an emerging and promising technology. The PMR pellets will deliver complete, nutrients or the balanced nutrition required for the animals, and it can facilitate up to 20% increase in the milk yield, and it will also help in reducing the calving interval almost by 60 days. So I think this is also important for contributing to economic sustainability of the farmers. PMR pellets has added advantage, that they are being able to incorporate crop residues, to the extent of 15 to 35%. So this incorporation of crop residues in the pellet itself will help build, avoid our burning of crop residue, which is a common problem Delhi and around. We have seen in Punjab, Haryana, it's a very serious problem. So this will help to, get away some problem in this way, and also the associated greenhouse gas emissions while reducing the enteric methane emission from animals. So this will also contribute to the environment sustainability of our country. Another thing is the sustainable manure value chain. I think so far we have seen only the milk as the product which brings revenue to the farmers. But can we see, dung also as the one value chain which can be used to improve the economic sustainability of farmer, because this is the other source of income for the farmers, and it will also convert this dung or the waste into wealth. So by using the biogas and then using the bioslurry for production of organic fertilizers or the biofertilizers, I think is a novel approach on which both Government of India and MDDB they are working to reduce the use of chemical fertilizer and also to improve the soil fertility and crop productivity. And this will also help, providing clean energy and reducing the gas emission from the manure. Another thing I think my fellow colleagues will talk about is optimizing the usage of energy and resources it is key for the sustenance of environment and the energy management. We are already, testing utilization of non-conventional energy sources for use in the dairy plants, and we now want them as integral part of our future industry projects. Some of which is, implementation of CST, say concentrated solar thermal system, and we can integrate with the existing thermal utilities of the dairy plant. Solar photovoltaic systems, I think this is also important to generate electricity to be utilized for our routine operations, and when not needed, it can be exported to the grid. We also have, a plan for BMC wastewater treatment, because most of our bulk milk cooler at the village level, they don't have any, as of now, any wastewater treatment. So can we have a skid-mounted system for bulk milk cooling, which with organization for use in the BMC wastewater treatment? So this is another technology we are working on. And the I think last thing is the dedicated MIS system, because MIS in conjunction with automation system will be capable to generate enormous data, which we can use for modeling our predictive control. Thank you.
Yeah. No, this is very nice, because it has not only touched from the central government norms and the central government activities as such, but it has also gone towards cattle feed, the animal husbandry, and also from the energy standpoint. So having understanding of these activities, that brings into a very interesting point that I was always thinking to ask one of the end users ever since, and I would like to ask this to Mr. Nanta Gopal and Avin, that how do you ensure, while you have this, what Minesh Bhai has said, from the central government standpoint, all these activities are happening, I think it is applicable to all the dairy industry. How do you ensure that there is a consistency in the product quality? Because while you have so many moving factors, apparently it is important that you have the consistency in the product. So what has been your approach, or what do you think in last 1 or 2 years that you have approached, or 1 or 2 years you have done, which will help us to grow beyond from here? Mr. Nantakopal, you're there? I think there's some technical issue. I don't. Oh, you're there. Yeah.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you, sir. Please.
Sir, in Tamil Nadu, now our per capita consumption of milk in Tamil Nadu increases 250 grams per day from 220 grams, sir. So 69% of total procurement is now procurement sales solid liquid milk. Now the changing phases, the consumption of milk products also increased. So consumers are getting the quality dairy products on board with the international brands everywhere, sir. Regarding consistency, now we are using a lot of automation facilities in our dairies to give the good quality products and giving consistency. Automation in the dairy is the holistic approach to dairy production to increase the flexibility and the efficiency to reduce the cost of operations. So in the automation, we deliver a diverse mix of consistency, high quality, and safe products. So complete control over our operations. In our Tamil Nadu, we are having a lot of fully automated dairy cum power plant at the capacity of 2 metric ton installed at some places. Fully automated dairy process plant at different places. And even product manufacturing, we are automated paneer production, ice cream manufacturing plants, and fermented milk and beverage production plants, and automated butter production, automated flavored milk production. So everything we are going to automated now, sir. So we are giving good quality of products with the consistency of taste and other things. We are remaining the market share. We are raising the market share from 30% to 47% in our states. So we are maintaining the consistency. Our government is also supporting in many aspects in our dairy. They are granting a lot of aids. They will give some granting funds and other things. So we are maintaining the consistency is the important for dairy development and our future, sir.
Wow, I think you have covered it in a very short speech of yours here in an answer, that the consistency plays an important role, and the consistency can only bring in if you have a right level of approach to bring in automation into the system to automize the dairy as much as you can, and also getting the right level of support from the government. So, while I take that as an important factor which is improvising or improving the overall operational efficiency, I wanted to ask you, Sangram sir, one of the largest dairy producer, milk producer in India, that how do you see automation at the same time, the remote connectivity for that matter, for a continuous plant operation? Because, plants are running continuously, dairy commodity, you can't stop it unless there is a maintenance or, the CIP activities. How do you see these two factors kind of connected to each other? What's your, overall vision or expert opinion on this?
Kosub, good afternoon,
Good
and
afternoon.
good afternoon to all the colleagues who are on the virtual platform. I congratulate Sinex for bringing 1,500 people on one platform. Before I answer a question about remote operations and remote connectivity, I would like to talk about the leadership and the future daring. Well, you will all agree with me that Toffler theory works, and the velocity, the acceleration of change is ever growing, and there are waves of changes. What is happening is how your leadership is able to bring in science to the help of the mankind, and science to the help of your customers and your producers. That is more important in the leadership area. What is happening is convergence of sciences. You have convergence of all the lodges bringing to one thing called technology, and this is to being adopted over a period of time. I mean, Mr. Nathan was talking about consistency in product. The APC has helped us in consistency in product. Advanced processing system, distributed control systems, more PLC, from PLC based to kind of man machine intervention, MMI kind of situation has helped us in bringing more consistency in quality and more consistency in product processing. We have about our own 4 plants outside Gujarat, and they are all connected with the main dairy also. We have we have laid we have IoT based kind of Internet of Things based operations, which can connect us in real time to all the locations where we want to be connected, and this is helping us in monitoring. It's possible to operate any equipment sitting from any. If the Perseverance can operate from Mars, what is that cannot be operated from one place to another place? If there's millions of kilometers away, we can operate a small helicopter. We can operate anything. No, I'm not going to talk about the digitization per se, because it's past because it's the need of the hour, and it is an infrastructure logic which is required to make your things more real-time basis, more transparent, more efficient and productive. So that is being adopted. What I want is that the leadership has to have a vision and a mission to be ahead, or at least be in time with. Being ahead is one idea. Being time, be with the change and to cope up with the change, so that you are competitive enough to cater to your consumers efficiently, bring in the kind of quality which you require. That's why what my friend Minesh was talking about, that back end at the farm end, we need the genetics to be improved. We need to have tailor-made cows. What we need is most productive embryo transfer, ET herds. What we need is we need estrus synchronization. I think estrus synchronization is a veterinary word, but we need estrus synchronization so that our cows can produce as we desire. And at the end, the science has to come and help us in bringing maybe producing cows which we need. We can have cloned cow, or we can have IVF cows, or we can have synthetic gamete production, and see that we replicate what we want to replicate. The science is becoming really very interesting, and the leadership has to rise to the level to capture it. At Banas, we became from 1 lakh liter to 8.6 million liters in last 30 years because the leadership was always looking forward to science, bringing science to the help of people and adopting that science to the advantage. Today, we have the most modern plants. We have highly automated systems. And you know, Slider has also been part of our automation day in and day out. I think be it Cider or Rockwell or any other companies, we've been demanding, and this is helping us to bring in more efficiency in real-time basis. What I see is that the change is going to be faster and faster, and then adopting it would require more investment. We need to be very prudent in the investment which we make so that it becomes productive and it converts into generation of value addition, so that you know you can have capabilities to invest further. That is most important thing. Today, the automation and kind of new generation technologies are helping us to improve productivity at farm level, at manpower level, at the plant level, and at the market level. So it's a complete supply chain which is needs to be re-engineered so that you have better technology helping you in serving both the ends, the producer end and the consumer end. Thank you.
Yeah, so this is, you have, in a nutshell, you have said that it is, it is not only about remote connectivity, it is not only about dairy manufacturing, it's rather not a paracetamol, it's a wideband antibiotics. So we need to look at all possible dimensions to kind of take it beyond from here. And thanks for appreciating all the efforts from Schneider Electric. But that, while you touched upon the IoT level of a solution, from one big giant of milk producer, I wanted to go to the next big giant here and ask you, Amit sir, about what is level of innovation that envisioning? What's your vision as an IoT or the software space in the dairy processing industry? And I know the growth for you also has been substantial in all the work that you have done, not from the manufacturing standpoint, but also from the adopting the innovation and adopting all the technology. So your comment on it, and I'm sure you would have a great sense of understanding all these activities to be implemented. So what's your vision on this?
So good afternoon, everyone. It's been nice hearing everyone what exactly is happening in the industry. From the technology perspective, and if I talk about dairy, and particularly talk about Amul, that how technology has evolved. And I always say that technology has to start from the grassroots. Up till now, we were focusing the technology at the plant level to get the best PLC-based, SCADA-based system, and MIS getting generated out of the plant, and the SAP-based system for evaluating the data and data getting into the system. Now it is one step ahead. Now, if this has been done over a period of time at the plant level and also at the market level for the distributor or for the retailer or for the consumer, how best the connectivity and transparency can be achieved. But I would like to take you back to what Minesh Bhai was also talking, and Sangram sir was also talking about at the village level, how technology can change or turn around the entire industry as together. Though if you've seen that India is, as we know, India is one of the biggest milk producer, but per animal, we always say that yes, our milk is very less. Now, so what we have adopted in Amul is now we are focusing totally at the village level, and we say that, okay, I'm wearing a Fitbit. Now, can we think of having something for the animal? So what we have done is now we have digitalized at the farm level, at the animal level itself. So we have now more than many animals which have been ear tagged, and they are RFID based tags. And from there, we come to know what exactly is happening to the animal, whether the animal is in good health, whether animal comes under heat, whatever is happening, why animal is not moving, why it is not drinking water, why it's not standing up. So for that, we already started this activity, and for more than 200 animals, we have now put up the tags, and we plan to make it as a pilot for another 10 villages, where this will be totally, all the animal in that particular village will be tagged, and the data would be coming to the to our main server. And since we already have our call center 24/7 working, what we have done in this call center is initially we said that any kind of disease for the farmer animal, they would just give a call to us, and then our doctor would directly reach to that position which is on GPS based. All the doctors, 300 doctors moving, are on GPS, so they can reach within less than the time 108 comes to your home. So our doctor is at that place. Now, having said this, the point here is that we thought that why can't we move further ahead and say that when farmer used to get the animal comes under heat, what exactly that we can do for them to say that the farmer doesn't miss one of the heat cycle. Otherwise, for each heat cycle, it's a cost to him. So how can we bring down that cost? As Manish was talking about, we are having more economic. So we said that we also use the same 24/7 call center for them. And we made them use their mobile app. We developed an app where they can directly put it that, okay, I am from this village, code number, the farmer number, and just place cow or buffalo, and it says AI is to be done. Just press it, and the message goes directly to the AI worker and through the center. Now he does not need to get a call. So that goes back to the AI worker who reaches at that position, and he does it. The AI has been done, and we have further enhanced the technology. And why I'm talking about this is that, okay, we have done in plant, but now I'm talking of how we can go to the village level to see that this technology get evolved, or IoT based systems are more at the place, or more simpler technology based things can be done at the village level. So here we provided them with a thawing machine on a bike with the AI worker reaching. And let me tell you, yes, to just go there, since we don't have everything on digital tag, we have developed an app wherein with image processing, we can know the ear tag, which was at 8 rupees. We used to have a barcode on it. We just scan it from a distance of 3 meters, 1 meter, more than 1.5 meters, and then data goes into the system, and we have all the history of that animal coming in. So within less than 15 minutes, the entire cycle is over. Earlier, it used to take a lot of time. So that is where we are now using the technology at the farm level. Now, if you see, yesterday we were looking at the TV and we saw that COVID, if you want to test COVID, you can do it at home. A home kit is available. So what we have done is that we have developed some kits for, for the animals. Generally, if you see, they have some kind of disease, particularly when the doctor goes over there and he has to take the sample and give it to the laboratory, and then we come to know. Here we are talking about some strips developed for brucellosis, for FMD. Just take the sample and put it on it, and then you come to know what exactly is the kind of disease, whether the animal has it or not. So that's the time which is getting saved at this point of time. So what we are now talking about, the technology of, again, I'm talking about IoT-based system of the small, startups. People are working on that. We are also discussing with many of the, doctor fraternity as well as the R&D people, that how can we, the biggest challenge in the industry is the mastitis control. How can we have that system of taking the milk and putting a drop of milk on a chip where it says that, yes, the animal is having mastitis and he can do the treatment at home. He can save time. So at one side, you are using the technology at the farm level where data is coming back to the system. At the same time, you are ensuring that the economics of that farmer is also been well maintained. So this is where we are now talking at the farm level. Now comes the question of how can we further improve upon as Manish Bhai also touched upon, is the ration balancing. We have now a system where doctor goes over to the farm or at the farmer's level. He has got his own app. Now what he does is that he just takes the data from the farmer that, okay, what are the feed that you are making them eat. Based on that, we have developed the software where doctor, the nutritionist gives us, this is what you are supposed to take. So whatever farmer is making them eat, we come to know these are the calories and these are the intakes for the animal. But this is the deficiency. So we have a program where we give it to the farmer stating that, okay, this is what you should make them from the available feed, and what more they can give it from the Amul side, or that we have derived based on our requirement. So what I'm saying is that this technology, small technologies at the farm level would certainly enhance the milk procurement. Now, coming to the, as Manish Bhai also talking about the genomics, We already we are working with NDDB, embryo transplant, more than 500 have been done, and we are now starting getting a hybrid, calves already almost 25 already done, and then we are getting more than 30-35% of accuracy. Sorted sex semen is an area where we have now, again, we have digitalized, the straws with a barcode, and, wherever the AI worker goes, we know what exactly he's doing, how much straws he has at that point of time, which animal has been given which kind of straw. So these all technologies at the farm levels are basically giving, a lot of support for us to make the things much faster. And we've seen the growth of almost more than 17-18% of milk procurement increasing in our milk shed area, in which we say that in next 3 to 4 years, as Sangram Singh sir was telling, because I also worked with Banas for 10 years under his leadership. So we have tried that in next couple of years we will be also reaching to, today we are at 4.5 million per day. We may reach to almost 8.56 million in couple of years only. So this is where how technology or IoT based system at the farm level can turn around the entire thing. Now, coming to these data, up till now it was all about PLC, SCADA, MIS. Here we are now talking about digitalization. Even farmer, at village level, cooperative society level, we have now all the apps for the farmer, apps for the village level cooperative society. So everything they get, all our communications through them are digital. There are no paper going back to the farmers. This has been totally eliminated across Amul. You can see in my office there are no papers. This all been digitalized across Amul, right from anything, right from purchases to the material which is coming. Only one challan and the bill that is required as legally is allowed inside the premises. All our dispatches are through barcoding, and security person has got a mobile to see scan the QR code, and data gets into the system. So how best you can bring that technology, the small innovations into the system. And then comes the question of analyzing, in the SCADA and then supervisory and, all those things. But what exactly as the top management wants, or what exactly as a manager wants, and what exactly the supervisor wants, and what data farmer himself should have. So we have developed the entire application for this, where I'm sitting in my office. I know across Amul how much is the milk procurement, what is our turnover, what is our live data of how much AI is going on in the village, what are the calls received for treatment of the animal, what are the kind of disease that are happening. Now this is a dashboard that you develop, and from here in our office I can go to the remotest of the village of Calcutta in West Bengal to know what exactly is the problem in that particular farm or in particular person, how much milk is going, why fat is going down, with contact number. Everything has been digitalized to that level. Now the question here is that, okay, as an MD I have it, but the same thing has to go to the down the line people, particularly for the supervisor level. So they have their own screenshot. So now the question of artificial intelligence comes in, and that is where we are now at Amul. We have made it to the supervisor level and to the farmer level. Even he knows how much money he is getting, how much fat he is getting, what are the problems, what kind of, even doctor goes, if gives a treatment, it's a message to the farmer. He knows that, okay, this is the treatment given to my animal. That is the kind of transparency that we are developing at this point of time. So this was all about at the village level. Now coming to the plant level, as everybody knows, that technology has played a major role, massive role, and we also have been working obviously, as rightly said, with Schneider or Allen Bradley or Siemens, or to get in the best technology, and in the plant level we have worked more on now getting it communicated. The earlier it used to be part of process was automated, but the packaging part was still was more of a manual kind of things going on. Now the focus has been on how to have the secondary packaging more digitalized. How can we bring down the cost in that? How can we have online check weighers into the system that's get integrated with the system? So for the target for this year, as I told, last year we covered almost on 40% of our products going out, 100%. Even every drop of product going is through the metal detectors or through the check weighers. So you can control your cost, bring down your cost. And this year, by the end of this year, we'll see that everything going out from Amul, more than now it is 70%, 100% would pass on through the online check weighers to get the data. We know what exactly alarm goes to the supervisor. So all those things have now been integrated. And at the same time, the warehousing technology also is getting evolved, and we have been now putting up a different kind of warehouses where manual labor can be eliminated. It was more like a normal shelves, and then later on it moved to a stationary racking. Then we moved on to mobile racking. Then we moved on to automatic stacking and retrieval system. And today we are talking about the orbital system, which is further one more step where the speeds are required, the outspeed or the intake speed are required. So technology as such, everything has been passing through with the QR code and traceability until the goes to the farmer, the first in first of FIFO. Everything is now getting digitalized at the plant level also, and at the same time you are improving the processes of the old processes which used to be the technology for paneer or for ice cream, or we say Industry 4 solution. How best all these new machines that comes in are flexible enough to make n number of products on the same machine. That is why now, because the customer requirement changing very fast. Like ice cream, if you see today you want one kind of ice cream, second day you want different shape, fourth day you want another. You have to be different in the market. So how best these new machines coming out with the new technology can further enhance this. And then at the sustainability level, in terms of technology, as discussed, we have already now floated for 150 solar-based bulk milk chilling units. How best the transportation of the milk to have flow meters, and then you have an automatic sampling system at the village level to bring the milk with a very transparent way of bringing the milk, where you can reduce your manpower and bring the milk back to the dairy, and nobody knows what kind of sample it is, from where it has been, based on the lat and long, that all those technologies have now been evolved. It is now running. At the same time, rainwater harvesting and sustainability. Now today in Amul, now each and every plant, we have almost more than 10 or 15 rainwater harvesting getting installed across our milk shed area in our areas. And future would be to install at each and every village, so that the water table, because it's going to be the future, that is going to go up, requirement would go up. And lastly, the most important aspect is as Minesh Bhai also touched upon, is the biogas. Today we have balloon-based, it's a fully automated biogas, biopurification plants, which is totally digital, which is all computerized startup, PLC startup system, and with bio-CNG and biofertilizer. Obviously, we say that IFCO is there, they are into fertilizers, but why can't Amul be in biofertilizer? Because dung is our raw material. So we are working with NDDB also to help the farmers to bring in this kind of technology into our system. And the most lastly, I would say that to improve all those things, you have to think. Everybody says think big. I always say think to the grassroots, go to the grassroots. What exactly is the problem? Understand that. To give you an example, the way we commission, ultimately we are paperless at this point of time for last 1.5 years in entire Amul. And my point has always been going to the audit department, where ultimately all the paper comes, that how many papers are coming in your department. So they said no, nothing. Means your entire cycle of implementation is 100%. 100%. It's ensured that whatever you are implementing is converted into results. So in nutshell, if you see, digitalizing is going to be the future. Obviously, the sweet market is growing, so sweet technology in sweet sections and new machines would going to change the course of time. Cattle feed plants technology also are getting more and more redefined and getting more accuracy-based system. So all these things, as Chaudhary Sahab was also saying, that how can we remotely control the entire process? Now it would be like, the processes can be controlled from one place straight away. We commissioned the plant in COVID, the entire racking system from Germany, with the input from them and Indian engineers and our team working, getting it commissioned. So it's not that we need to think big. Yes, we need to think big, but we need to think at the smallest level, solve their problem, and move ahead. Thank you.
Wow. So this is a explanation around the topic, and I can quickly relate to this is innovation and automation at every level. And I think in a nutshell, all that we say is that we have a lot of opportunity to work together in a simple way. But then, Mike, I need to come back to you on this, or rather come to you first time here, that you heard it from all the end users here. You also heard it from the largest consultant in India, which talk about all the possible level. In a nutshell, how do you see this as the overall vision from Schneider? How do you want to depict it? What is our plan for the future, and what's our vision for this particular industry to take it forward from here?
Okay, Kausi, first of all, thank you for inviting me. And maybe if I could just start by saying, I'm over here in Germany, but my thoughts and prayers are with you all in India with the very tough time you're going through with coronavirus. So thoughts and prayers are with you all. So I actually think, to answer your question, Kaushdeep, I think Amit's description there from Amul about what's going on, he actually captured it beautifully about what's going on within the industry, and it lines up beautifully with what we see as being the vision as well. I also would tie it back to what Minish said at the start around sustainability, because I think what we see inside Schneider, the food and beverage industry in general has been quite slow to transform over the years. But this past year has actually driven a lot of companies to wake up and say we need to move faster. The need to pivot to new markets, to change your supply chain because of restrictions that COVID caused, has really made companies realize I need to digitize faster, because those that did digitize in the past have actually been a lot more successful through this very tough past year because of what many of the customers on this panel have already said. So what inside Schneider, we're trying to make sure that when we look at bridging the progress that's going on just now, our goal as a company is to help make sure that our customers are all doing it in a sustainable manner. To us, that's one of the most important things. Moving forward, but doing it whilst damaging the environment and the climate is something that we want to make sure does not happen. And we've got 4 areas that we focus on inside Schneider to help make sure this happens. The first one is around the combination of energy and automation, because we don't see one being successful without the other. Having a utilities area which is inefficient, which is using too much steam, wasting air, whatever it may be, or an effluent plant which is treating too much effluent, it's not the best. Tying that in with the way you automate your plant is key. So bringing together the domains of energy and automation, making sure the energy you use is clean, make sure you eliminate the waste that's coming out of your dairy plant is critical for us. So tying together these 2 domains. The second point is what many of my colleagues have touched on here about the IoT side, taking the data from the end point, whether it be in the farm, whether it be in the plant, from a COD instrument or whatever it may be, getting it up into the cloud and making use of it. Yeah, everyone's talking about connecting devices and digitization, but it's got to be for a reason. And if you look at one of the biggest challenges we've got in the dairy industry globally, and equally in India as well, is milk loss. It's waste. Yeah, so if you want to be sustainable, if we want to feed the population, we need to first make sure we can eliminate that waste, and being able to connect the endpoint to the cloud is a very good step to take forwards there. The third point is looking from the whole design phase all the way through to the life cycle of the plant as well. Making sure we're designing plants which are clean, which are green right from the onset. So build the clean strategy day one into the way that you're building a plant, whether it's the CapEx cycle or the OpEx cycle. And then all the way you manage that plant. Don't stop there when it's been built. A plant that starts off at 85% efficiency, but then drops down to 60% after 3 months is not good. So making sure you manage it through the life cycle as well, driving continuous improvement. And the last point is about doing this across the enterprise. It's great to have plants which are good, but it's how do you take that best practice in one plant and redeploy it efficiently to other plants? How do you start to make sure you make educated decisions on where to deploy production based upon the efficiency of the plant, the utility cost, the performance of the plant? Only by driving this enterprise integration across your whole business, across the whole value system as well, not just the manufacturing, is critical to making sure we can drive these efficiencies. Okay.
Yeah, this is, I think you've connected the dots between the manufacturing, what our end users have said, but at the same time, you've also brought in the interesting topic of digital transformation and data management. So Mike, I want you to continue a little more on this, and then maybe you can add a little on how is data management is extremely important at this point in time. We all say data is a new oil, and having this data management in the digital transformation journey for a specific dairy industry, you heard it from most of them, and how Schneider can help these industry or in that particular direction. If you can add a little more on this, please.
Yeah, I'd be glad to, Kaustubh. So maybe to start off with, I think when people talk about data management, a lot of the time it's about the vertical integration. You know, getting the data from the plant up to the cloud, or taking it from the field up to the cloud. I was involved in some activities in India around the bulk milk cooler monitoring. You know, making sure you can start to monitor that stuff, which is a fantastic thing to do and can make a massive impact when it's delivered. But the big value comes from the data when you start to integrate it horizontally. Yeah, so when you start to look at some of the discussions around farming with the cattle, also things like regenerative agriculture, when you're starting to get the data from the way that the value chain is working and you integrate it horizontally, getting that knowledge of the quality of materials coming from the source all the way through the production, all the way through the cold chain to the consumer, integrating that data is one of the most valuable things that can be achieved. And if you look across the globe right now, and I'll share this to help the team in India, I don't think anyone is doing a very good job of this anywhere in the world right now, this horizontal integration. And the reason for that is not because of the technology. As many of my colleagues have said here, the technology exists. We can control helicopters on Mars, for goodness sake. The problem is the organizations. It's the organizations inside the companies. If you look inside organizations, they tend to be siloed. You know, so when you try to drive this horizontal integration, if you've got one group that's focused on the sourcing materials, one group that's focused on quality, one group that's focused on manufacturing, one group that's on cold chain, and so on and so on and so on, it's very difficult to break down these silos to drive that horizontal integration. So for me, the technology is there. The vertical integration is key, but who can achieve this true horizontal integration by breaking down the barriers that exist within organizations will be the ones which will be most successful going forward.
Thank you, Mike. This actually answers a lot of questions, and that also connects the dots between three different factors. As you said, it is more strategic, it's more about horizontal integration, and also what you do with the data, because if you collect a lot of data, if the data doesn't transmit into a meaningful information, that becomes useless, and it's only gathering of the data. But connected to this topic of data, we heard from manufacturing, we heard about all the intelligent work that our dairy customers are doing, and also certain solutions that we can offer. Amit sir, I wanted to ask you this question about specifically cybersecurity, because you have reached to a particular level of digitization and all this. You also mentioned about your paperless office. How do you see cybersecurity? What's your view on for the dairy industry? Would you think cybersecurity is one of the important topics?
Yes, as you go on digitalizing the things, obviously the data on cloud and your security of the data plays a major role. So recently what we have done is that we have upgraded our entire, it has to, as Mike rightly said, that, it has to be horizontal integration. And that's what we are doing right now is from the village level, we are taking a lot of data on the cloud, and with our servers also getting updated, the best servers with a lot of safety, all, at every level, data is being secured, and we have now updated our entire data center altogether. And, the safety of the data is key. Obviously data is the most important aspect. And, apart from that, if you see in our earlier system, you used to have a lot of, temperature data, power, fuel, what, everything was coming, but what is of use to you? So what we have done is that we have segregated the entire data for analysis and data which is to be put in the system altogether. The data for, for traceability is at one point. Correct. And what we are now doing is that at different levels, we are now just passing on the data which is critical for them to take the decisions. Now, if you see that, and that is the analyzed data, it's a very, very compact form of data that goes only to that particular person. And to give you an example, what I'm talking about is that, okay, I know in Gujarat, I get this much of milk. Okay, that is the data which is for me, is more important. Now, if I ask my main procurement head what he wants, in different talukas or different tehsils, how much quantity of milk has come. But if you go further down the line, what exactly the supervisor wants? Supervisor wants is from that particular circle of 20 villages, how much milk is getting collected. Now, at that particular supervisor, what he wants is that, okay, this is the milk getting connected. from each farm, this is the milk, this is the farmer where I'm supposed to talk to him because his fat has gone down, his quantity has gone, what has went wrong over there. So data
Correct.
for him is that data which is important. So what we are doing is that we are giving, and we are, with the security at the is the prime and the key for this, but we are giving only that kind of data for him to analyze it only in that form only. He does not to look at all the data where I'm supposed to talk, where what should I do? No, it has to be very precise, and what actions he's supposed to take based on data. We have given them the training of entire dashboard. So across Amul now, every person has got their own dashboard individually, and he can look at his dashboard and see whether it is for the operational point of view, whether it is for the administrative point of view pertaining to leaves, their salary or some problems. That dashboard is also available with them, so they can take the call, just go and pass it on the mobile only, give the approval for the leaves, data goes to the system, and automatically salary gets deducted, or if it is to be approved. All these data has to be stored properly, and it has to be then taken out from the cloud the way you want. As Michael suggested, we also did a very good study, and now more than 300 of such kind of BMC monitoring system. So 2 days back, when there was a lot of cyclonic effect, though we could, at least wherever we had this kind of information, we could come to know that, okay, these are the villages where we don't have the power, because it gives us data that the power is not available. So that is where, so in 1 second we realize, okay, there is no power, this is the quantity available, and whether these through GPS we know whether the truck would able to reach there or not. In the 2 days we could get back to our own system where the cyclone effects was very high, but 2 days we could collect all our milk and come back to, though severity was very high, but we could do that. So in all, if you see, yes, I fully agree, the security is the key, but it has to be managed properly.
True. No, I think what you're saying is data collection on all level, data management on all level, but at the same time, it is also about the data differentiation between the good to have data and the must to have data. It's a very clear differentiation that we need to establish here, that how do we manage the data. Mike, any comment from you on this, that how cybersecurity, anything that on a broader level do you think it's important, before I go deeper into the food safety part of the business?
Yeah, I think cybersecurity is actually one of the most important things, because we've seen too many cases around the world where ransomware attacks are coming in and it's shutting down plants. It's also from the point of view of adulteration of products as well. You want to make sure that your processes are protected as well. And I know the discussions earlier about some of the OEM equipment coming in from Germany that you're commissioning inside of India. If you're getting remote support on that equipment, from overseas, which is the case a lot of the time, because you don't want to be, especially with COVID, you've got to remotely monitor, remotely maintain systems. It's really important you have very strict cybersecurity processes and policies in place, as well as the architectures to support it as well. So for me, cybersecurity, for this all to work, that's a basic foundation principle, which if it's not addressed robustly, this all falls to pieces. Because immediately, as soon as you have one attack, you take everything offline, you disconnect everything, and you've lost that integration of data, because you want to protect your business.
So, while data management is important, and data management is directly connected to not only the data as a data, but also from the data for the manufacturing, data for the food, data for the food safety, data for the food quality, and so on. So, when we talk about food safety and associated topic, that I'm very keen to get back to the manufacturing a little on this. And I asked this question to Dr. Nandagopal on this, that do you think this digital transformation, that all that we have spoken so far, and taking the first input from Minister and brought it to this particular level, do you think data or digital transformation can enhance food safety? Does it play a very crucial role in the overall food safety? What's your thoughts on this? What's your opinion here?
In the Tamil Nadu, sir, we are having 25 unions in our states and one federations. We are implementing the IDMS, Integrated Dairy Management System, for all pilot. We are now introducing the 4 districts in the pilot manner. True. We are improving the operational efficiency and ensuring timely service to milk producers, consumers, and suppliers. Basically, we collect data from the bulk milk coolers. We have taken tests from the bulk milk coolers itself. The farmers, they bring their milks. In the bulk milk coolers, we are having some testing centers. In the testing center, they will test the fat content, SNF content, other microbial contents. If the milk is good quality one, then only they will allow the milk to store in the PMCs. Otherwise, they will be summarily rejected. So again, this milk transported to our dairies. In the dairy also, we are checking each and every containers with all the tests. For 12 tests we are testing. This data is stored in different parts. So we are analyzing each and every data. After analyzing the data, the quality of the milk is good, then we will allow the milk to the dairies and the processing and other things. If the milk is not the collection of data, if the data shows any discrepancies or any foreign material or things, the milk will be summer rejected. So collection of data is very important. Collection of basic data like microbial content, stability, and contents of the milk and other things, it is very important to the quality of the end product also. So it is imperative and necessary demand to collect the data and analyze the data. Then only we will come to a conclusion that the product will be in good quality according to the food safety standards.
Yeah, thank you for this comment, because we know Avin has been the flag bearer in the data management on all level, and it also directly connects to the manufacturing facility. We have panelists, we have covered most of the topics towards the manufacturing, food safety, the data management, and I know we have a lot to share, because we all are sharing the similar platform, whether it is from the manufacturing standpoint or also from people like us who are supporting this overall manufacturing standard in some or the other way, whether it is from the basic level of automation or also on the data management. While we talk about it, we also have to see that we have covered the past, we have talked about present. What's the future? And while we talk about future, I don't think so, Sangram sir, other than you can answer this, that how do you see dairy for tomorrow? What is the big take of Banas on the dairy for tomorrow? Do you think, which are those top 3 factors do you think are extremely important, that going beyond will be crucial for each one of us to tag along on this?
Hello, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello? Are you getting me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
See, India has been from 20 million metric ton to 20 million metric ton to 190 million metric ton has been a great journey, and it is thanks to Dr. Kurian's charismatic leadership that we are 30-40 million metric ton more production, because of the NDDB's brilliant efforts in Operation Flood program and other thing, bringing in the crossbreeding systems, crossbred cows, and improving the testing systems of milk and milk products, and also improving the supply chain in terms of farm cooling systems and other things. What is going to happen is that now the smallholder system is going to be a medium holder system. People will shift from 1 or 2 cow, 3 cow family labor managed system to professionally managed medium farm to large farm, or medium to medium farm kind of system. So these farms have to be provided the science of technology, and this technology, what Amit is talking about, is very important, that we need link them in real-time basis and collect the maximum data which is relevant, and make it available for process improvement, and also to see that this is provided to the people who really need this, and then they take real-time decision to improve and implement the system, where the technology, digitization, science of breeding, science of nutrition, science of animal keeping, science of reproduction, and science of productivity enhancement, science of genetics, all converge into our system to improve the system and make the system up to date, so that we are competitive in terms of productivity, competitive in terms of quality, and in terms of supply chain management. This is most important. The leadership has to look for this, bring into it places, and then see that things improve at the grassroots level. This is what is the need of the time and the demand of the time.
Yeah, so true. The future of tomorrow and the future of dairy lies in the transparency. The future of dairy lies in what is required, and most importantly, I think it started with Amit sir. What you said, it's all about leadership. That how do you want to do a digitization on each level, and so on and so forth. So that brings into me to the last part of our session in a way, and I know it's going very interesting, but we have a limitation on time here as well. Minister, comments from you on since you're looking at a big picture here, you're looking at the you have the broader vision here, keeping in mind the requirements of what's going to happen in the future, and you also heard from the primary end users here as well. All these while, even in the connection of pandemic, we have seen that what is important for each one of us as a consumer, that whether the systems, whether the products, whether everything is transparent, and the transparency at the facility level, at the plant level, but also the traceability. So do you think from the food processing industry in general, do you think transparency and traceability will be the dairy in the future? Will that be a norm that will come up as one of the mandate in the future? Do you think that's something which is important or crucial?
Yeah, I think also, what is traceability, if I understand correctly, is the ability to follow the history,
True.
application, movement, and location of an object through specified stage of all the value chain, that is production, processing, and its distribution. So this is the traceability. And as you are rightly saying, I think the transparency and traceability, they are both not very recent phenomenon, but I think they are the long-standing demand of our consumers, and more so with milk or the dairy products, because it is consumed by everyone. See the entire population, whether it is young or small children or adult. So everybody is consuming milk and dairy products, and these two are the most important aspect. What we are doing for traceability is, I think, we have the largest network now called ENAF. It's the information network which collects the data of all the animals. We have now data of 15 crore animals on our system. So wherever there is vaccination happening of an animal, or AI is happening, for the animal, we are having this data on the network, and this all data, they are being used, being analyzed to take the informed policy decision. So I think this is one of the important area. If we have to bring transparency or traceability, it is very important that the consumer know that from which animal this milk is coming, the product which he is consuming. So this is one area where we are working. Maybe now, not now, but in future, how can we ensure consumer that the product which he is consuming is derived from which animal? I think this is most important. This consumer has every right to get informed, not only about the source, but also about the supply chain, processing method, hygiene and quality parameters which are maintained, whether the practices followed are ethical or not, because that is also one of the important aspects, and what are the environmental impacts of all these practices which are being followed. Uh, Unfortunately, in our country, very little is being followed now, and we need to travel a lot in this direction, so that these instances of misinformation and misbranding and mislabeling, we can avoid. With the consumer becoming more and more aware with respect to health and environment, I think due to the improved food regulatory requirements or processing industries' contribution towards it, they have now started doing their bit towards ensuring transparency and traceability. I think IT-enabled solutions, as informed by all the panelists, they are making the things easier for us. and relevant information can be found also on the websites of various industries, and some of the organizations are even now providing QR codes. So, it is available on the packet, which can tell the consumer about the source and supply chain followed. So, there is a lot of scope, for the dairy industry and the food industry as a general going forward. IT-based tools are, now available to digitize, standardize, and leverage the supply chains. Valuable data, as we discussed, will help the dairy industry to, to enable safer, sustainable, efficient, and transparent supply chain. And I think in future it can be easily anticipated that level of transparency and traceability in dairy industry will become a norm, resulting into more consumer confidence and also a healthier market competition. Thank you, Kaushik.
Yeah, so I really like the last word, which is healthier market, and I think you touched upon two very interesting topic, which is a mislabeled product is not the right product to the market, and traceability and transparency, I think, is the word for the future of dairy industry. And also I think that relates to what Sangram said for the dairy of tomorrow, and also Amit sir's comment. So I think I clearly see that as a transparency to the next level, and as a potential on the next level. I think that also establishes a problem statement for people like us, and then for which we have Mike here. And Mike, I wanted to ask this very interesting question: that how can Schneider Electric as an organization can enable the end-to-end traceability? I know it could be a long topic of discussion for you, but then in very specifically, that what do you think that we can do and how we can deliver the right level of solutions?
And thank you again for the question, Kaustubh, and maybe just to tie on to the back of what Meenesh said, because the ultimately the person that's got to be protected in the whole supply chain is the consumer. Yeah, so that's why I think end-to-end traceability is important for protection of the consumer. But we've also got to recognize that this market is actually being consumer driven. You made a comment right at the start about the shift towards more fermented products. There's more and more dairy products that are being used within the marketplace as the whole community starts to change their preferences. The consumer's also getting smarter as well. The consumer wants to know, what am I imbibing in my body? What are the ingredients? Where did it come from? Was it sustainably sourced? What did it come from on organic farm, and so on and so on and so on. So the whole end-to-end traceability is not just about an insurance policy to deal with recalls. It's about making sure you can adapt to the changing consumer demands. And there's also one final point, which I tie back to a comment I made earlier about the losses that happen within the supply chain. End-to-end traceability helps you to identify where your losses are coming from so that you can start to address them. So we actually have a major program inside Schneider focused on this, and we're working with many governmental bodies on this as well, because it's a difficult topic to deal with. But we've broken it down into 4 bricks that we focus on. The first one is upstream on the agricultural side, where we're looking at how materials are produced, how they're farmed, how they're sourced. So getting all of that sensor information, that technology information, but also looking at things like managing certification. So how do you know that no slave labor was used? How do you ensure that you can certify it was an indeed organic farm? So the certification as well that goes with that upstream farming piece. That's the first brick we focus on. The second brick we focus on is, which we've talked a lot about in today's session, is in the manufacturing space. And one of the challenges you have here, a lot of the manufacturing plants have old technology, may not even be automated. So how do you start to put automation technology in that delivers, first of all, it has to deliver value. Yeah, so how do you bring recipe management systems in place, material management systems in place? They can give you that genealogy, can give you that record of the batch that was produced. This is becoming more and more important when you consider that dairy plants are no longer just producing fluid milk. They could be producing multiple different streams, whey products, cheese products, yogurts, etc., etc., etc. The importance of having this batch record, the traceability inside the plant, is key. And we've got a big focus on here on using open automation standards as well, so that this doesn't become a big barrier to doing end-to-end traceability. If you have to spend millions to re-automate a plant, that can immediately break your whole traceability chain across your plant. The third brick we have is, once you've produced the product, The point about mislabeling. Yeah, we're focused heavily on serialization. How do you put a unique code onto every single product that's produced so that you can track that single product all the way through right to the consumer? So the consumer can even scan the product. And then you can start to share that richness of information you've got across the value chain with the consumer, or indeed it could be with the regulatory body. If the regulatory body wants to scan that product, you can share the pertinent information with them as well. So serialization, by the way, as well, is becoming in many governments around the world, is becoming a legislation to start to put serialization on certain products, like infant formula is becoming a product that needs to be serialized in certain markets, with what happened in the Chinese market not so long ago. And the final point in this piece that ties it all together, so that when you scan that code, you get the data, we're heavily focused on product information management as well. This is where you take all of that data from across your value chain and hold it somewhere. You need to hold it somewhere. That data then you can choose to present to whichever persona is scanning that code. Yeah, whether it's a consumer, whether you're a plant manager, whether you're a farmer, whether you're a regulatory body. How getting access to the pertinent product information is the fourth block within that end-to-end supply chain that we're heavily focused on as a company as well. Now, we don't do this as a company on its own. We don't have all the solutions. One of the things that we drive is with Schneider is we work with partners. Yeah, we pull together an ecosystem because to be able to do this, to get the data, we don't have the RFID tags that goes on the cow's ear. We don't have the intelligent labels that can go onto products. We work with partners to ensure that we can bring the technology to the market. And my final point is in the most competitive way possible, in the most cost efficient way possible. Because again, if this is not done in a manner which is positive towards the industry, if it's only a cost to the industry, it's never going to happen. So we're trying to make sure this is done in a way which is accretive to the businesses that are servicing the dairy industry. Okay, so sorry, a long answer there, Kaushdeep, to your question.
No, but I think it is precise, and Minister, I'll just take one more minute from you on this. Do you think it's a circle back mechanism? Do you think it connects to the point which is said from the lenses of government?
Point on traceability?
Yeah, on just what Mike said about the transparency and traceability solutions.
Yeah, so as I told, we are working on the same thing, that how can we have a system where a complete traceability is established right from the milking of the cow, so from the animal up to the consumer level. I think that is most important. You already know that India has the potential to manufacture all the value-added products, cheese and powder and butters of the world. But why we are not getting the maximum share in the export? It's only because of this issue, traceability. Because the FMD disease or brucellosis is very prevalent in India. We are unable to control such diseases, and most of the developed countries, they don't want to buy the products from the country where you have the FMD disease, which is prevalent. So how can we have FMD eradication or certain other diseases so that India progresses well, having the largest milk producer in the world? We also have the largest share in the export of dairy products. I think that is the reason all our processors will have to need accounting for, so that they are able to pass on maximum share of their revenue to the farmer. Because ultimately, if farmers are not getting the remunerative price for their product, we will not remain the largest milk producer in the world. Slowly, the enthusiasm of the farmers to produce more will not be there. So it is very important that we have the largest share, or at least a higher share in the exports of dairy trade. That is very, very important, and for which establishing traceability is non-negotiable. Thank you.
Great. No, thank you for your comments, and I think the more I want this conversation to keep going on and on, but there's always a limit of time, and I personally Wanted to thank each one of you. Such valuable inputs, not for me, but also an academic learning for almost everyone who's attended this, from even the panelist, also the participant who have attended. We have a lot of questions here, and we wanted to take as many as possible, considering the limit of time which each one of you. But I'll just take the first one, which has come as: is there any technology to improve shelf life of condensed milk when transported through a big tankers to FBO? So if anyone wants to comment on this particular question, it's largely towards improving the shelf life of milk is the question. Amit sir, your comment on this?
See, again, with the infrastructure available when you want to transport the condensed milk, the most important is that you manufacture the product in the best possible way where all the standards have been met. Then comes all how you have your system or traceability of your CIP or cleaning of the system at place to ensure that that product is when it goes to the tanker, you ensure that it has been taken care of. The third thing, which is the most important aspect, is the CIP of the tanker. If you're transporting that through a tanker, and if it is a condensed milk, you know what temperature we need to how much distance you need to travel. Today, just to give an example, today we are transporting milk all the way from Andhra Pradesh in south to Pune in Maharashtra, which is more than 1,000 kilometers, as a raw chill milk. So within less than 16 hours or 18 hours, we have been able to bring the milk. So it all depends on how you make your system in a proper way, ensuring all the the traceability, what we have been discussing about, the safety of the product and traceability. Whether it is the product, or whether it is a CIP, or whether it is the movement, or whether it is the efficiency of the transporting product, considering where exactly is to be transported, then you put in the technology of having GPS. You can track the product, where it is and at what time it reaches. How it gets unloaded also is the important aspect, because you can transport it up to a particular level, but if you don't have the proper unloading system, where it may contaminate the product at that point of time. So all those things comes into picture. Like the latest example is of the liquid nitrogen oxygen, how it has been getting transported in the nitrogen tankers. So it all depends on the kind of system what you make.
Yeah. No, I agree. We don't say it just like that. Amul has an answer for everything, and you just gave an answer for that right thing here. We have a lot of questions, and I know we have time limitations here, but I'll just take at least two of them. There's one question which is on plant automation. So plant is already installed with automation and digitization, but we are talking about data capture and merge from product dispatch to customer. How apply digitization in a proper way to better service and feedback to customer? So Mike, maybe your comment on is that it is to do with the automation, digitization, and as well as feedback to the customer. So do you think there's some particular point that you wanted to add on this?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I fully understand the question, Kaustup, but maybe if I could take a stab at it. I think the first part you said plants already have automation installed. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think one of the challenges is that sometimes the automation don't expose a very solid plant model. Yeah, so being able to get the data you need to drive some of the intelligence that we've been talking about on this call, it could be a little bit elusive. Yeah, maybe the instrumentation doesn't exist. Maybe the way that you're managing your batches and recipes is not structured. So I think that's the first piece, is making sure existing automation is in a way that can be useful. I think the merging of the data from the dispatch to customer, across the value chain. I think this comes down to the ability to use more like a data lake approach. How do you get the information that you want into a central data lake? This could be, like the Schneider data lake. It could be, customers have their own data lakes. I know in India, there's quite a few companies that use their own data lakes, but making sure you can get this data into your data lake so that you can then start to manipulate it in any way that you choose to see fit. And getting information into that data lake, again, the biggest challenge is often the connectors. How do I get information from a source, which could be a farm, could be a plant, could be a cold storage unit? how do you get that data actually into that data lake? And this is a challenge of connectors. It's also a challenge of cybersecurity. But certainly the technology exists. The technology exists to do it all. It just comes to the thing I would encourage is when you're doing it, make sure you're thinking about the data model you want to leverage. Otherwise, you're going to be throwing a lot of data into a central repository, which will provide you with zero intelligence, zero information, and zero wisdom on how to improve your value chain.
Perfect. I can safely say you understood the question, Mike.
Oh, well.
I just want to add one more thing to it.
Exactly, please.
What Mr. Mike said, that we have the warehouse at this point of time, which is fully digitalized and fully automated. When the truck comes in, we know that where exactly the location of the truck is going to be. And through that system, we come to know, and all these, because of the barcoding and the QR codes, while unloading and going into which truck, we also know each and every batch of that product going to the market and at which place it is going. That also in the second leg to the warehouse, and then from our warehouse to Federation warehouse, from Federation warehouse to the retailer. That also we come to know where exactly the product is in place, which batch number, and when it was been loaded and from where it has been loaded. So it is, as he rightly said, data could be, it's a huge data. You cannot know, you'll go mad looking at the data. But the important is how best you utilize the data for that purpose. Thank you.
No, so since you talked about the data point here, added to that, this next question, maybe you can also answer is, how does all the data centrally is managed? And, when we talk about farm to fork, maybe you have covered this into your farm to fork story, but maybe in one or two lines, if you can also answer that, that what has been your thought around, the data management in farm to fork?
See, the most important aspect, as in, again, I told you, is, what data to be kept where and what is to be utilized where. This is the only way you have to map a system that you collect the data from this source, you keep this data at this place and give the required data to the right place where the person wants the data. So, then only that matrix has to be defined very properly, very precise, and for what he requires it, whether he requires it or not. He does not require, no need. Like the process temperature or parameters, no need for him to give to the sales fellow because he does not require the data, but he can see the data, but with batch number and all. What exactly is required to whom should be mapped. And that is what we have done in our entire system, right from farm to the fork. The entire SAP system is integrated in such a manner that we know what exactly is the product, is the raw material at the village level, how it is moving in our trucks to which silo is getting unloaded, from where it is getting processed to where it is getting into the pack, whether it has gone for powder, whether it has gone for butter, whether it has gone for ice cream. We know up to that point where exactly is happening, and then when that product goes into the final warehouse to the consumer, we have that traceability. So in managing data is all managing about what you want, and which is one of the biggest challenge what I've seen in my 30 years of my working is that people want everything, but they don't know what they are getting. But they get everything, but they are not able to analyze that thing in totality. So important is you should know what to be given to the people or what people exactly want for themselves.
Correct. Very fundamental answer. I can pick up the words as, what is the right matrix, what is the right model, and how do you do that? We'll take the last question as we need to wrap up the session. More of a question from that, is there any dairy industry which exports their product to European countries? I guess it should be all, but Minister, your comment, I'm sure you would be aware about this, or Amit sir, even you can comment on this.
We are exporting to almost every country in the world, but the volumes are really insignificant. If you see, it's only our ethnic product like ghee, which is not manufactured in Europe, and we have the Indian population staying there. So some of our processors are exporting such products to most of the countries. But it's important that we take a share of all products, not only our ethnic Indian products. I think that is important.
Okay. All right. So with that, we have come to an end to this show. Thank you very much from Team Schneider here. You have been excellent in terms of sharing all the information, and I think we have reached to the final point here. I wanted to thank you. Mike, any final comment from you, and then we can hand it over back to the to Devanshi, to you.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo what you said there, Kaustubh. Thank you so much for the partners we've had on this call. That it's been, I think it's been an excellent dialogue. I hope I could also add to it. Not being an Indian, not being in India, I do have a very close relationship with India, so I'm glad to be part of this session as well. And honestly, I think it's been enlightening for me as well, hearing some of the comments that have come from the key manufacturers, from the consultants, the government bodies. It's a great learning for me as well. So I look forward to the next one we're going to set up, Kaustubh, and hopefully also meeting everyone in person once COVID finally gets behind us, hopefully not in the too distant future. But thank you so much, and thanks for being a great host as well, Kaustubh.
Thank you. Devanshi, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Joshi. Thank you to all the panel members for being a part of this session, for giving us your valuable time and sharing your insights on this particular panel session. Thank you, Mr. Amit Vyas, Mr. Mike Jameson, Mr. Sangram Chaudhary, Dr. Nant Gopal, and Mr. Kaustubh Joshi for wonderfully moderating the session. A special thank you to Shri Minish Shah ji for being a part of this summit for both the days. We started this summit with your keynote and we conclude this summit with your panel session. Thank you so much for giving us your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for all your time. A quick update I would like to give you that we are getting a great response from the industry. And as of now, we are on 1,500 plus live participants watching us for watching this particular panel session.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you.
Devanshi, just one comment. If you have further questions,
Sure.
please raise it to me, and then we can circle it to the respective panelists to answer it back again. Yeah.
Sure.
Just to
Sure.
close
We'll
that
share
out, yeah.
across the question to you and you can answer them.
Yeah, sure. Done. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for your time.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we look forward to have you in our next annual also.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Amit sir. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Great day 2 with our esteemed speakers, partners, and attendees. A special thank to our esteemed speakers for sharing knowledge and expertise on the diverse topic with the entire ecosystem of the businesses, and also getting the updates on the new and the latest products and services from our sponsors and partners. It has indeed been 2 extremely valuable days, the day 1 and the day 2 of the India Food Nutrition Summit, where we saw extremely diversified topics being discussed by our speakers and our panel members on the same. And what a better way to have this event when the whole world is battling the COVID-19 pandemic together. Nothing gets more precedence than food nutrition. I take great pleasure to thank all of our honorable speakers, delegates, and partners for taking time out of their busy schedule on a Thursday and a Friday and joining this event. A special thanks to all of our attendees. I would like to update that we have recorded a record number of 1,509 live attendees for this event today. And that is a number itself, which is an industry hallmark and industry record number. With this, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to close the proceedings of the India Food Nutrition Summit 2021. Hope to see all of you in the next edition of the same. Have a great day. Thanks, and stay safe and stay at home. Thank you.